Hey guys, it's Mel. Today I wanted to start a new series that I'd like to call So You Think You Want to Date an INTJ Female. And this is an interesting topic to me, basically because I've kind of felt like an alien most of my life and that men weren't interested in me at all. And later in life I've come to realize that there were a lot more people interested in me than I realized, and I was oblivious to all of it because I lacked the emotional intelligence and social awareness to understand what was going on. And then it's interesting to look at all these people who regard the INTJ female as this unicorn you're chasing after and want to catch. And so I just figured I would do my service of maybe that I can help younger INTJ females do better in dating, and anybody who wants to date them to understand that unicorns are pretty, but they have horns on their heads that can maim you. So be careful what you wish for. So today's focus is going to be on one of the elements that you should be prepared for if you think you want to date an INTJ. And that is that you should be prepared to deal with rejection. So rejection, I am going to guess, is probably one of the top fears of people have when they're involved in romantic relationships or any kind of relationship. We have so many people growing up too that have been through traumatic childhoods, abandoned by parents, rejected by family members, for all different reasons, and that just builds on it. So people have this innate kind of fear of rejection, what causes us to talk and do things that we wouldn't otherwise and get mixed signals all over the place. So my point to you is the fact that an INTJ, and specifically INTJ females, are going to make you feel rejected because it's kind of what we do, and it's not always intentional. There is an unintentional rejection that happens, and this is something that I've learned later in life when I look back on my life and I realize I didn't mean to make people feel rejected, but I did. And I'm trying to learn from that and to build on that. But man, my dating life would have been very different if somebody had told me all of these things when I was younger. So the thing about the INTJ is the fact that we are very comfortable being brutally honest about things, and it is easy for us to say no. And no is one of those words that offends people and makes people feel rejected in all kinds of circumstances. And the INTJ, especially if we're young and we're underdeveloped as far as our emotional intelligence and our social awareness, we're very awkward in social situations. And then once we get in that place and we're awkward and then we feel uncomfortable and then we say something and then we feel stupid and then we don't know what to do, this gets exponentially worse. So when I'm pressed in that situation and I kind of have this social anxiety at that point of I don't know what to say and do now, what's going to happen is I'm going to word vomit brutal, honest truth things that hurt people all over the place. And it's unintentional. I'm not trying to hurt people with my words. It's just what's coming out because I don't know what else to do. And a lot of times, I won't even remember it because I'm so anxious in that social situation and so uncomfortable, I don't even realize what I'm saying or doing. I'm just uncomfortable and I want to get out. And so this kind of further devolves the situation when you're trying to date. So story time. Here's a good example of something that had not just happened to me once, multiple times before I made the connection, noticed the pattern, and said, hey, wait, maybe the problem is me. And that's that when you meet people and you kind of hit it off and you have a conversation and it's hey, we should get together sometime or whatever. There is this place where everybody starts off that thought of oh, I want to get to know you better. let's have coffee. And so many men that I've met through my life have invited me to have coffee with them, and I always say no. And it is not a rejection, and I never intended it to be a rejection, and it's not like a soft way to say I'm not into you. It is literally because I hate coffee. I don't like coffee. I don't drink coffee. I don't like to smell coffee. I don't like warm beverages of any kind. I hate going into coffee shops. The atmosphere is weird. There's all these hipster people that hang out there and buy fruity drinks. And just like, I don't like coffee. And so I reject coffee. And I don't want to it's already uncomfortable for me to be in social situations, and then I'm trying to talk to this new person and I don't know what their intentions are, and my mind's going wild with all these things, and then you want to put me in a place that I'm uncomfortable with, surrounded by a beverage I don't want to drink, and like I want no part of it. So the answer is no, because I hate coffee. And it has nothing to do with you, but everything to do with your word choice. Because you asked me, hey, I'm headed over to the coffee shop. Would you like to grab a coffee with me? No. Hey, would you be interested in meeting me for coffee tomorrow morning before class? No. And why is that? Because I don't want coffee, but it had nothing to do with you. And it had nothing to do with wanting to get to know you more or to talk to you or meet up with you or anything like that. It was just about the coffee. And I didn't know how to recover from that, because if I said no, and that's all I said, and then this poor guy is standing there feeling like completely rejected and doesn't know how to follow up with that because he expected me to say yes, or maybe, hey, I'm kind of busy today, maybe we can meet on Friday. But I'm not that savvy in social situations, and I did not say, hey, I'm not really big into coffee, but maybe we could meet up over at the park afterwards or something like that. No, because I'm not savvy in social situations, and I'm not aware. I don't know what to do. All I know is I don't like coffee. And then, yeah, usually it was just awkward, and they walk away, and I feel bad and I don't know what to do. But then I'm also offended because I'm like, wow, wait a second. Maybe I felt some kind of connection and we had so much to talk about, and I could have kept talking to you forever about sports or movies or whatever we started our conversation about. And so was the fact that I don't like coffee a complete deal breaker to our relationship? Like, wow, that's mind blowing. Like, but I mean, if you couldn't deal with the fact that I don't like coffee, we didn't have a future anyway. So like, it's over. But anyway, this is my example. I don't know how many other people there are out there who don't like coffee, and like in the same passionate way that I do. But I'm sure there are many stories and other ones that I could tell of similar situations where I never intended to reject you or him or whoever. I was asked a question and it was a negative response. And I also don't want to be put in that situation. So when I had a friend, because, I started adding this all up and going, oh my gosh, this is my fault. Maybe I should just say yes, even though I don't want to go to coffee, because then they don't feel rejected about themselves. Like, yes, I do want to meet up with you. So I had to have a friend to like coach me into like, okay, when this happens, this is what you should do. Like, you can suggest another place or whatever. But then you get into this fact of like, you're like, oh, well, I don't want to go for coffee, but there's a new restaurant that opened up down the street. You want to meet me for dinner? And apparently that's a whole new world in the ball game of relationships, because you just like up the ante into being more intimate or whatever, and that is not my intention either. It was just that I wanted to be in a place where there was substance that I was interested in consuming, and not being at a coffee shop because I would be awkward, which is also when I tried to do that instead of like, okay, let me just agree to do it so that I don't push you off, but then the meeting is going to be really awkward, because then when you ask me if I want anything, I'm like, no, I don't want anything. I don't like coffee. And then they look at you like, well, why'd you agree to come? Well, because every other time when I say no to guys, then they run away from me. So I don't know what to do. Like, I keep getting in this spot. And you know, and then I'm uncomfortable. I don't want to be in the coffee shop. It's weird. It's the, you know, atmosphere. I'm like turning down everything. I don't want to be there. And then you feel weird because you're in the shop and you're not purchasing product from them. I don't know if other people feel that way. I hate doing that. You know, like when people go into a store to use the bathroom and they don't buy anything there, that's just rude. But anyway, yeah, so that's me, and I don't, like, it was just about the coffee. I never intended to reject anybody. I mean, but yeah, if you straight up ask me if I'm interested in dating you and then I tell you no, like, you asked for it. So there's two sides to that coin, but be prepared. You have to be prepared for rejection because we're going to deal it out one way or another. So my advice to you, if you think you want to date an INTJ and you're trying to prepare for this, is first of all, develop a thick skin, because we're inevitably going to make you feel rejected whether or not we mean to. So don't take it personally, and learn to utilize your words and look at what you're saying, what you're asking, and verbalize whatever it is you're feeling, you want, and what you want in return, because it's beneficial to us. Because, you know, unless we're more mature and advanced and developed in our emotional intelligence and our social awareness, we don't know what's going on, and you have to point it out for us. But if you plot everything out logically and explain it to us, it's very helpful. So, you know, just make it there. So while you're, you know, looking at what to say and what to do around this INTJ female that you're trying to pursue, I suggest trying to foster an atmosphere of positive forward thinking. So INTJs kind of live in this future realm. Like, we're always going to advance. We're always trying to see what's next. And we're kind of playing through every potential scenario in our mind of where things could go. Of like, okay, I could, you know, I could step left or I could step right. If I step right, this, and this could happen. If I step left, like this, and this could happen. But if I stand here too long, this might happen. But I could always step back. Like that, our mind is always kind of like playing out all these scenarios. So if you want a future with an INTJ, you have to interject yourself into those future thoughts. And you have to like maintain the idea that they don't want to like trap you down of like, okay, I'm not saying that if you want to date an INTJ that you have to go into it being like, okay, I'm interested in marrying you and spending the rest of my life with you, like the moment that you meet them. Like, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that they have to be able to see some kind of future with you. Otherwise, we just write you off and move on. So you need to play into that forward thinking. And then the last thing is just endurance, because persistence is key at this point. INTJs play the long game. That's what we do. We are focused on long-term goals and how everything is going to play out in the end. And you have to be on board with that and recognize that, you know, again, with our lack of social intelligence or whatever, that we might not pick up that kind of spark or whatever that you did on your end. Just keep trying. Just keep going and keep on keeping. If you're determined to have something, and that will actually pay off in the long run, because we respect that. And that's what my husband did. He just kept on pursuing me until I gave in. And then there were all these other guys that I don't know, somewhere out there, that I could have been with somebody who asked me to coffee and I said no because I didn't like coffee. I didn't mean to be rejecting of you. I was rejecting the coffee. Anyway, so those are my thoughts. Yeah. If you think you want to date an INTJ, be prepared for rejection. This was fun. We'll do it again. Thanks for watching. See you next time.